Hi and welcome to a walkthrough of Zoom Player Commander, a remote media playback management and scheduling system that's based on Zoom Player technologies. To begin with, we will need to configure the media renderer, the playback engine that sits on the remote system. I have created a shortcut icon here that executes Zoom Player. I'll open the property page. And as you can see, I specified a command line parameter with the shared path. The shared path is the folder on the remote computer that contains all of the content. This path is specified for security reasons, and no content other than this path, other than within this path, is ever shared. So once I have specified the path, I will execute Zoom Player. You can see Zoom Player right now running in a video window with no user interface, and I have kept the playlist window open just so you can see the inter-process communication. Next, I have Zoom Player Commander running here, and as you can see, it currently has 2 screens specified. I will remove one of the screens for the purpose of this walkthrough, and I will now recreate it. Because Zoom Player Commander is TCP/IP based, the same protocol as the internet, while this demo is based on the same screen, there is no limitation to the distance. Any communication over the internet is sufficient to have control over multiple instances of Zoom Player and multiple screens. So to begin with, I will create a new screen and I'll give it a name, an original name, screen 1. And then I will need an internet address or IP number. Since I'm running this on the same computer, I will just type in localhost. And this is the default Zoom Player port. You can specify multiple ports if you want to run more than one instance of Zoom Player on the same computer. Next, you have the playlist mode. When you tell the scheduler to play a specific playlist, here you can specify what happens when the playlist has finished playing. You can have the content auto-replay, auto-rewind to the first track, do nothing, and many other options. Next, you can specify where the Zoom Player instance appears. You can have it appear full screen on a specific monitor. You can have it appear in a custom position. This allows you to create video wall configurations. The values here are Windows coordinate for screens, so you can specify a value that covers more than one screen. And for this purpose of the walkthrough, I will make this unchanged so you can remain this small window here. And here you can have several compatibility features that you may want to enable. This disables the OSD messages that pop up, for example, when changing the volume. So if you change the volume, you don't want them to show up, so this disables them remotely. And this disables auto part loader, which can mess with the creation of playlists. So once I have all the parameters set up, I click Save, and now I have a new entry. Next, I want to make sure Zoom Player is connectable, so I open the Options dialog, and on the System section of the Advanced Options dialog, you can specify the port if you have more than one instance of Zoom Player running, and you need to make sure that Enable TCP is on, and once done, just click OK. And once I have both systems connected with the same values, I can connect. And now you can see the current scheduler already set on this player, and I will show you in a second how to edit it. You can see that there is currently no media loaded. If there were some media loaded, you would see the file name here. You can see the current position of the playing media. Right now it's empty. This is the volume of the playing instance, and you can see the current playlist, and this is our local playlist editor. This is the live. This is what is currently playing, and here we can edit it without affecting the live playlist. So what we'll do is click the plus button, and we can, for example, select this sample file and edit. Now when I click the add buttons, this dialog doesn't automatically closes, so you can add multiple files without having to open the dialog each time. So I'll just click add, and you can see the file already being added here. And I can add multiple files, but for this sample I'll just close it. And this button removes selected files, and this button saves the playlist. Okay, so for example, let's create a new playlist, and I have in this sample folder, by the way, this the content of this folder is the content under the shared path we specified through the command line. And so in this folder I have several audio files. I'll select them all and add them. As you can see, they are now have been added to the list. You can see them here, and I'll now create a new playlist from these files. So, and this playlist is saved to the remote computer under a special folder that you will see in a few moments. So I'll click, and it asks me for a file name. I don't need to enter an extension, just a name, so I'll call it sample. Click OK. Get a message that it was saved successfully. If you don't have write access on the shared path specified in the command line, you will get an error message here. So now that it's saved, I can clean the entire playlist and then easily reload it from the specially created ZPL folder, which is created in the root path of the shared folder, shared path. And so I'll enter it, and you can see the playlist I previously created. And now if I click add, it will close, but it will open the entire playlist here. Okay, and now if I click this button, it will automatically start playback. As you can see right now, it's just playing an audio file. I paused it so the music won't interrupt my speech. And you can use these buttons to go to the next tracks. You can use these buttons to seek forward and backwards. You can specify a specific position to seek to. For example, if I'll tell it to seek to second 16, and you can see it's 16 here, and also in the actual player display you can see its current position is 16 seconds in. And next, you can actually edit the playlist order using these buttons. You can move the tracks around, up and down, top and bottom, and I can play with the volume levels. And that's for the current active playlist. But one of the more powerful features is the scheduler. So by clicking edit schedule, you can see the current schedule. I'll just clear it and create it from scratch. So for example, I first browse for a schedule file. It can be either a playlist or a media file. So in this example, I will add a playlist, and you can then assign custom Zoom Player functions for the start and the end of each schedule entry. So you have access to hundreds of control interface and content function that Zoom Player employs, and you have extended functions. These are functions that accept a parameter. For example, I can tell Zoom Player to start playback with an audio volume of 50%, and when the playback ends, I can set the volume to 35%. And now I will pick a date and time, so I'll pick February 9th through February 16th, exactly one week. And now when I add a new schedule entry, you can see here, you can see the priority, which I will touch on in a few seconds, and you can see the start time and date, the end time and date, the file name, and the special functions. Okay, next you can have, I'll add another entry. This time I'll just pick a media file, and I'll clear, I don't want any functions associated with playback of this media file. And here is another nice feature. I will set this file to play from the 13th to the 14th, which is overlapping with our existing entry, and I will add a new entry, and now it tells me that is overlapping and asks me if I want to override it. If I press OK, it will give it a higher priority. Give it a priority of 1. Basically, Zoom Player plays whatever content is the highest priority at any given time. So, and you can have a priority values from 0, which is the default, through to 10. Higher the priority, the rarer it becomes. And as you can see, this allows you the flexibility to play several contents across long time, and easily break into existing content with higher priority schedule content at any given time. Now, all the editing that's being carried around here doesn't take effect until you click the save button. Once you click the save button, it is automatically sent to the player, and if you enable the schedule, it will actually start playing it. Right now we didn't enable anything inside the actual live time. So for example, I'll edit the schedule, and I'll add another example, and I'll have it play from now till another hour from now, and I'll give it doesn't even need a higher priority because there's nothing currently that clashes with it. And let me just, before finishing, let me just explain the rest of the menu. You have the import selected entry into the editor. This basically means that if I click an entry and then click this button or double click this entry information will be sent back into the editor area, and then you can click the update selected entry to put it back into the entry to allow you to easily edit existing entries. Then you have the remove button, which removes entries. You can clear outdated entries. Right now you don't have any entry which is outdated. Basically, and one thing to note that outdated entries appear gray. Let me what I'll do is I'll create one instead of for today. I'll create one for a few days ago, and this will allow me from date, this will allow me to create basically an outdated entry for you to see. So basically you can see that it's completely gray. This means that the time has already passed. And now I'll, for example, if I double click, you can see this is the same as clicking this button. By double clicking, you can see the information being placed here. So I'll get the information, reset the date again, reset it for today, and now I can select update the entry. It asks me if I'm sure, and as you can see now that because it has a time which is still haven't elapsed, it turned back on. Here you have this button clears all the outdated entries. Just remove them from the list. This button clears the entire schedule. Okay, once I'm finished and I want to take it live, and you will see the moment I take it live, it will be sent to the player and it will change the content being played right now. Let's do it. And as you can see, the new content is right now playing. When you disable the scheduler, it doesn't stop the current playback, it just repeats the currently active playlist and does with it whatever is specified in the playlist mode. As you can see, the current screen is currently paused mode. You can use the left column here to see an overview of the screen state for each screen. It's the same as the state written here, but you can see it without actually selecting. So for example, even with this screen selected, you can see that this screen is currently paused. If I'll play, you can see it change to play and then back to pause. And if nothing is loaded, it will show an idle screen instead. And as you can see, I currently have two screens defined. This is an actual separate instance of Zoom Player running on a different TCP IP port. And let me bring it into the desktop. Here you can see the separate Zoom Player instance. And as you can see, right now these two instances are running as screen zones, basically part of a larger screen. You can define screen zones by specifying a custom position screen layout and then specifying the coordinates on screen. And for example, now I'll connect to the second screen. As you can see, it now has the idle area here, you can see. And now I'll add a separate playing item, and for example I'll play just this first track. And the reason I'm not playing video files is because they degrade screen capture performance, so I can't give you a proper demonstration with them. And now that I have in the playlist editor a sample file, I'll just click it here, I'll pause it, and as you can see, it's already playing. You can see the position, and now I have two separate instances of Zoom Player playing different content on the same screen. But in the same vein that this can be one screen, it can be one video wall, it can be part of the screen, and you can use it on the same computer and on different monitors on the same computer in a multi-monitor configuration. For example, I can tell it to go full screen on monitor 1 and then the second instance to go full screen on monitor 2. If you have any questions, please leave them on the comments section below and we will answer them as best we can. Thank you for viewing this Zoom Player Commander walkthrough. I hope it has been informational for you, and come visit our channel again.